Imagine something is eating you. Not a lion, not a wolf, not a bear, something smaller, something you cannot see, something that does not attack from the outside. It gets into your food, your water, your skin, your blood, your stomach, and by the time you realize something is wrong, it may already be living inside you. For ancient humans, danger was not only hiding in the dark, it was hiding in the river, in raw meat, in insects, in dirty hands, in the soil under their feet, in the animals they hunted, in the animals that hunted them, and sometimes in their own bodies. Today, when people imagine ancient survival, they usually think of giant predators. A saber-toothed cat, a cave bear, a mammoth hunt gone wrong. But one of the oldest enemies humans faced was not huge. It was tiny. Parasites, worms, ticks, lice, fleas, mosquitoes, invisible organisms in water, tiny creatures that could drain strength slowly, spread sickness, cause fever, ruin sleep, weaken children, and turn a healthy person into someone too tired to hunt, walk, or fight. And that raises a disturbing question. How did ancient humans survive parasites? Because they had no microscopes, no antibiotics, no anti-parasitic pills, no hospitals, no germ theory, no clean bathrooms, no filtered water, no soap aisle, no doctor saying you have an infection. Just a body that started failing, and a group trying to understand why. The first thing to understand is this. Ancient humans did not defeat parasites, they survived them. There is a difference. For most of human history, people lived with parasites the way they lived with cold, hunger, pain, and fear. Not as rare disasters, as part of the environment. The world was not clean, the ground was not clean, water was not automatically safe. Animals were not sterile. Food was not sealed. A cut on the foot was not small. A bite from an insect was not just annoying. A stomach sickness was not just something you ate. It could mean your body had been invaded. But ancient humans were not helpless. They were watching. Always watching. They watched which water made people sick. They watched which animals were covered in biting insects. They watched which camps became unbearable after too many days. They watched which people recovered and which people did not. That was the beginning of survival. Not science in the modern sense, but pattern recognition. A child gets sick after drinking from still water. An adult gets fever after sleeping near a swamp. A hunter eats undercooked meat and becomes weak for weeks. A group stays too long in one place, and suddenly everyone is scratching. No one knows the word parasite, but everyone knows the pattern. And in the ancient world, patterns were everything. The first defense was probably one of the simplest. Fire. Fire did not just keep humans warm, it changed the relationship between humans and invisible danger. Raw meat could carry things that humans could not see. Worms, larvae, disease, rot. But when meat touched fire, something changed. The smell changed. The texture changed. The taste changed. And most importantly, the danger often changed. Ancient humans did not need to understand microbes to notice that cooked food was safer than rotting raw food. They did not know what heat was doing at the invisible level. They only knew the result. Eat raw meat from a dead animal, get sick. Cook fresh meat over fire, feel better. That lesson did not need a laboratory. It needed memory. And once a group learned that fire made food safer, that knowledge became priceless. Because a parasite does not need to kill you immediately to be dangerous. It can weaken you slowly, make you tired, make your stomach hurt, make you lose weight, make you less useful to the group. And in the ancient world, weakness was expensive. A weak hunter hunts less. A weak mother struggles more. A weak child grows slower. A weak elder cannot travel as far. Parasites did not have to kill everyone. They only had to make survival harder. That is why cooking mattered so much. But fire was not the only defense. There was another ancient weapon, disgust. Disgust may feel like an emotion, but it is also a survival system. The smell of rot, the sight of spoiled meat, the feeling of insects crawling on skin, the reaction to waste, the instinct to avoid something that looks infected, dirty, or decayed. These feelings were not random. They were warnings. A person who felt nothing around rotten food was more likely to eat it. A person who ignored swarming insects was more likely to get bitten. A person who drank from foul-smelling water was more likely to get sick. So over time, disgust became a kind of alarm bell. Not perfect, not always correct, but useful. Ancient humans did not need to say, this water may contain parasites. They could say, that water smells wrong. Do not drink there. That animal looks sick. Do not eat it. That meat has changed color. Throw it away. That place has too many flies. Move the camp. And that last one matters more than people realize. Movement was medicine. For many ancient groups, staying in one place too long could become dangerous. Waste builds up. Insects gather. Water sources become contaminated. Rotting scraps attract pests. Sleeping areas become full of lice, fleas, and biting insects. The camp that saved you at first could become the camp that slowly poisoned you. So movement helped, not because ancient humans had a written theory of sanitation, but because they could feel when a place became bad. Too many flies, too much smell, too much sickness, too much scratching, too many people feeling weak. So the group moves. New ground, cleaner water, fresh sleeping places, fewer insects, less waste. In a world without medicine, leaving was sometimes the treatment. But they could not run from every parasite. Some parasites followed them, on their skin, in their hair, in their clothing, in their bedding, in the fur of animals. This is where another defense appears. Grooming. To modern people, grooming can look like a social habit, but for ancient humans, it was survival. Picking insects out of hair, checking skin, removing ticks, cleaning wounds, scratching away lice, looking at another person's back, scalp, neck, and legs. These were not small details. A person alone could not easily inspect their whole body, but a group could. That means social life helped fight parasites. People survived not only because they were strong, they survived because someone else could see what they could not. A tick behind the ear, a wound on the back, a rash spreading across the skin, a child scratching until they bleed, a hunter too proud to admit something is wrong. The group notices. The group intervenes. And that may be one of the oldest reasons humans needed each other. Not just to hunt, not just to fight predators, but to clean, check, warn, and care. A lone human was vulnerable in obvious ways. No defense at night, no help with injury, no shared food. But a lone human was also vulnerable in quiet ways. No one to inspect the body, no one to notice sickness early, no one to pull insects away, no one to say, do not sleep there, do not drink that, do not eat that, do not scratch that wound open. The group was not just company, it was an immune system made of people. But even groups made mistakes, because parasites are deceptive. A predator announces itself. A parasite hides. A wolf has teeth. A worm does not look like a threat until it is already inside the body. A rotten smell gives warning, but contaminated water can look clean. Raw meat can look fresh. A mosquito bite can look harmless. A tick can be almost invisible. This made parasites terrifying in a different way. They did not need strength, they needed access. Through the mouth, through the skin, through blood, through insects, through water, through food. And ancient humans had to learn each doorway. One doorway was water. Still water was suspicious, not always deadly, but suspicious. Water that sat too long could become dangerous. Water near waste could make people sick. Water where dead animals lay could carry sickness. Running water was often preferred. Fresh springs were remembered, certain rivers were trusted, certain pools were avoided, and again, no one needed to know the microscopic reason. They only needed to remember the outcome. Drink there, suffer. Drink here, survive. Another doorway was meat. Hunting gave humans food, but it also brought them close to animal bodies. Blood, organs, intestines, rot, insects. A dead animal was not just dinner. It was a biological gamble. Was it fresh? Was it sick? Had another predator killed it? Had it been lying in the sun? Were there worms in it? Did it smell wrong? Could it be cooked? Could some parts be eaten while others were avoided? Ancient food knowledge was not simple. It was full of rules. Eat this part. Avoid that part. Cook it longer. Do not eat it if it smells like that. Do not eat animals found dead. Do not eat meat after too much time. Do not let children eat that. Do not eat from animals that looked sick. Some of these rules probably came from terrible experiences. A group gets desperate. They eat the wrong animal. Several people become sick. The survivors remember. And the next generation hears the rule. Not because they read it, because someone suffered first. Another doorway was insects. This may have been one of the hardest enemies to control, because insects were everywhere. They came at night. They came near water. They came near animals. They came near waste. They came near blood. They crawled into sleeping spaces. They bit exposed skin. They carried irritation, infection, and disease. Ancient humans could not eliminate insects, but they could reduce exposure. Smoke helped. Firelight helped. Sleeping arrangements helped. Choosing windy places helped. Avoiding swampy areas helped. Animal hides helped. Mud, ash, plant oils, or smoke may have helped in different places. And perhaps most importantly, the people learned where not to stay. A beautiful place could be a trap if it was full of biting insects. A cave could shelter you from rain, but trap smoke and pests. A river could give water, but bring mosquitoes. A forest could provide food, but also ticks. Survival meant reading the landscape, not only for food, but for hidden costs. This is where ancient intelligence becomes obvious. They were not randomly wandering through nature. They were constantly asking, is this place safe? Is this food safe? Is this water safe? Is this animal safe? Is this season safe? Is this sickness spreading? Can we stay here or do we move? And every answer mattered because parasites often target the weakest first. Children, the injured, the old, the hungry, the exhausted. A healthy adult might survive a parasite load that destroys a child. That meant parasite survival was not only individual, it was communal. The group had to protect the vulnerable. Children had to be stopped from eating dirty things. Wounds had to be watched. Sick people had to be cared for. Food had to be shared with those too weak to gather. Someone with stomach sickness might need rest. Someone with fever might need water. Someone covered in lice might need grooming. This care was not sentimental luxury. It was survival strategy. Because humans are slow. Human children take years to become useful. Human elders carry knowledge. Human adults depend on cooperation. If parasites weakened the group, everyone became less safe. So care became practical. And over time, care became culture. Clean this, cook that, move camp, do not drink there, wash in that stream, do not sleep near waste, burn the scraps, keep smoke near the sleeping place, check the children, pick the insects out, watch the wound, listen to the elder. These are not just habits. They are ancient anti-parasite technology, not metal technology, not machine technology, behavior technology. The body was one defense, the group was another, memory was another, fire was another, movement was another, disgust was another, and slowly humans built a shield made of habits. But here is the darker truth. The shield was never perfect. Many ancient humans probably died from infections and parasites they never understood. Many children likely became weak from contaminated food or water. Many adults probably carried parasites for years. Many groups probably thought a sickness came from spirits, bad luck, curses, or broken rules. And sometimes those explanations were wrong, but the behaviors could still help. A ritual that kept people away from contaminated water could save lives. A taboo against certain meat could prevent sickness. A burial rule could reduce exposure to decay. A cleansing ritual could remove dirt. A camp rule could prevent waste from building near sleeping areas. The explanation did not always need to be scientifically correct for the behavior to be useful. That is one of the strangest parts of human survival. People can survive for the wrong reasons if the action is right. They may not know why smoke helps, but they use smoke. They may not know why boiling helps, but they boil. They may not know why grooming helps, but they groom. They may not know what lives in dirty water, but they avoid it. They may not know what a parasite is, but they learn what parasites do. Through pain, through weakness, through sickness, through death, through memory, and through the oldest survival tool humans ever had, watching what happened next. That is why ancient survival was not about being fearless, it was about being careful. Careful with water, careful with meat, careful with camps, careful with insects, careful with wounds, careful with children, careful with what the body was trying to say. A stomach cramp was information, a fever was information, a rash was information, a pattern of sickness was information, a place where everyone scratched all night was information, a stream that made people weak was information, a food that had to be cooked longer was information. Ancient humans lived in a world full of signals. The ones who survived were the ones who learned to read them. So how did ancient humans survive parasites? Not by understanding them completely, not by curing every infection, not by living clean modern lives. They survived by reducing the chances, cooking food, using fire, avoiding bad water, moving away from dirty camps, grooming each other, watching animals, watching sickness, protecting children, listening to elders, remembering which places, foods, insects, and habits brought danger, and passing that knowledge forward, one warning at a time, one rule at a time, one story at a time, one painful lesson at a time. Because before humans had medicine, they had memory. Before they had microscopes, they had observation. Before they had hospitals, they had each other. And before they understood parasites, they had already spent thousands of years surviving them.